Part 1. The First Hour That Changed Everything. Hook. They told him his dreams were too big for a man from a small town. They told him success was for the lucky, or for those with powerful friends. They told him mornings were for coffee and complaining about the day ahead. But one cold October morning, standing barefoot on a worn wooden floor, Daniel Carter learned the secret that would change his life forever. If you own your first hour, you can own your life. Daniel wasn't lazy. In fact, he often worked 12-hour days at the machine shop. But no matter how hard he worked, life felt like running in place. Every evening, he came home exhausted, his dreams of starting his own business shrinking a little more. Then came the night his old friend Mark came to visit. Mark had been broke, just like Daniel. But now he was traveling the country, speaking at events, building a company people were talking about. Daniel asked him straight out, "Mark, how did you turn it around? I mean, you didn't win the lottery. You didn't suddenly get lucky." Mark smiled. "Nope. I changed my mornings." Daniel laughed. "That's it? You changed your mornings?" Mark leaned forward. "Daniel, Napoleon Hill once wrote that the starting point of all achievement is definiteness of purpose. But purpose doesn't just happen. You have to create it, and the first hour after you wake up is your greatest weapon. Most people waste it. I stopped wasting mine." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Mark's words kept ringing in his head. The next morning at 5:30 a.m., Daniel did something he hadn't done in years. Instead of rolling over when his alarm buzzed, he sat up. The house was silent. His phone was dark. He remembered what Mark had said. "Be the author of your morning, not its victim." So he stood up, stretched his arms toward the ceiling as if grabbing hold of a new future, and whispered, "Today, I choose to lead my day, not follow it." He took a slow walk to the kitchen, filled a glass with water, and stepped out onto the back porch. The October air bit at his skin, but it also woke something inside him. The power of the first hour. At first, Daniel didn't know what to do with the quiet. He was used to waking up just in time to rush out the door, gulping coffee in the truck, and letting the day decide his mood. But now, he felt like he was standing at the starting line of a race, except he was the one holding the starting gun. Mark's advice came back to him. 1. Move your body. 2. Feed your mind. 3. Choose your mission for the day. Daniel started with movement. He wasn't ready for push-ups or running, so he simply walked in place and stretched. His muscles slowly loosened, and a strange thought crossed his mind. "I actually feel awake." Then he fed his mind. Not with the news or social media, but with a small book Mark had given him, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He read only 2 pages, but the words hit him like a hammer. "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because you have the power to control your thoughts." Finally, he chose his mission for the day. Just one thing. Not 10. Not a to-do list that could choke a horse. Just one goal that, if achieved, would make him feel the day had been a victory. That day, his mission was simple: finish designing the wooden sign for the small furniture business he dreamed of starting. Why this worked, Daniel didn't know it yet, but what he was doing had deep roots in Napoleon Hill's teachings. Hill believed that success comes from definiteness of purpose combined with persistent action. And the first hour of your day is when your mind is fresh, your willpower is strongest, and your focus is unclaimed by the noise of the world. In that window of time, you can plant the seeds of thought that will grow into the actions that shape your life. The first week wasn't easy. Some mornings, Daniel's body begged him to stay in bed. But he remembered what Mark had said. Progress doesn't come from comfort. It comes from consistency. So he got up anyway. Even when it was raining. Even when it was dark. Even when he felt no spark of motivation. By the end of that week, something had shifted. He noticed he walked into the shop with more energy. The usual petty complaints from coworkers didn't bother him. He finished his daily missions more often than not. The farmer's lesson on the 8th morning, Daniel tried something new. He poured his coffee and took it to the edge of the small field behind his house. The frost crunched under his boots as he walked out. He remembered a story Mark had told him about a farmer who started every day by walking his land. Before picking up a single tool, the farmer would simply look. He noticed where the soil was dry, where weeds had started, where the crops were thriving. That quiet inspection wasn't wasted time, it was preparation. It gave the farmer clarity before the sun was high. Daniel realized that's what he was doing with his own life. His morning hour was his daily walk through his mental fields. He was seeing what needed attention, where his energy should go, and what to leave alone. A quiet victory. 1 month later, Daniel looked around his workshop at home. On the wall hung the finished wooden sign for his future business. Beside it sat 3 pieces of furniture he had built on weekends. He wasn't rich yet. He hadn't quit his job. But something inside him had changed. He no longer felt like life was something that just happened to him. He was shaping it, one morning at a time. And it had all started with one choice: to own the first hour. Napoleon Hill would have called this the first step toward definiteness of purpose. Daniel simply called it the best decision of his life. Tomorrow, we'll follow Daniel as he learns the second secret that would take his progress even further: how to choose the single most important mission for the day, and protect it from everything else. Do you want me to now move on and write part 2 in the same story style so the momentum continues? Part 2, The Morning Battles You Must Win. Hook. It was 6 a.m., and Daniel Carter stood barefoot in his small kitchen, staring at the steam curling from his coffee mug. The house was still. The world outside had not yet claimed his attention. He had owned his first hour for 3 weeks now, and something inside him was waking up. But there was something Mark had told him that he hadn't yet learned for himself. Life will test you, often without warning. The strength you've built beforehand will decide whether you bend or break. That morning, Daniel would discover exactly what that meant. Challenge before comfort. It started with a phone call from his younger sister, Emily. She sounded upset. Her car had broken down on her way to work. Without hesitation, Daniel told her he'd come. But as he hung up the phone, he felt the old stress creeping back. What about the sign I planned to finish today? What about my one mission? And then he remembered Mark's words. You can't build mental muscle in the moment you need it. You have to train for it every day. That morning, Daniel realized his first hour couldn't just be about feeling good. It had to be about building strength for when life hit hard. Training the mind like a muscle. Mark had explained it simply. Just like a weightlifter doesn't start with a 200-pound barbell, you don't start with life's heaviest problems. You build strength with small, daily challenges. So Daniel began adding a mental challenge to his morning. Not solving math problems or memorizing trivia, but practicing qualities he knew he would need later: patience, focus, courage, calm determination. Some days he'd sit for 5 minutes in total silence when every part of him wanted to check his phone. Other days, he'd take a cold shower, reminding himself that he could choose action even when it was uncomfortable. One morning, he looked at a lingering problem: how to advertise his furniture without much money, and forced himself to brainstorm solutions instead of worrying about it. That practice of shifting from worry to problem solving felt awkward at first, but slowly it became a habit. The teacher's armor. Mark had told him about a schoolteacher who began each day by standing at her front door, taking a deep breath, and reciting the same proverb: a calm heart tames the storm. She'd been teaching for over 20 years, and Daniel had seen her at school events, steady, unshaken even when kids were loud or parents were angry. That steadiness wasn't natural, Mark had said. She trained it every morning, like tending a garden. Daniel thought of that teacher whenever he practiced his own mental drills. His goal wasn't to avoid life storms. It was to become the kind of man who could walk through them without losing his center. Guarding the inner weatherby. The 4th week, Daniel noticed another truth Napoleon Hill had written about: your inner climate matters more than the outer weather. One rainy Monday, he caught himself frowning before the day had even started. Normally, that mood would have carried into everything: his tone with customers, his patience with coworkers. But instead, he paused and asked himself, what weather do I want to carry today? He chose calm determination. He pictured himself working steadily, not letting delays or frustrations get under his skin. That day, something remarkable happened. Problems still came, but they didn't rattle him. People seemed more willing to help him. Even Emily called later saying, I don't know what's different about you lately, but you sound steady. The merchant's secret Mark told him about a local merchant who began each day by quietly saying, "Today I am patient. Today I am fair. Today I am bold." He didn't wait to see how the day would treat him. He decided in advance who he would be. Daniel started doing the same. Before sunrise, he'd stand by his workshop bench and choose 3 traits for the day: courage, focus, kindness, or sometimes patience, persistence, clarity. This became his setting of the sails before the winds of the day blew. And just like a ship's course is decided before it leaves the harbor, Daniel's mood and actions began to follow the course he set, moving with purpose, but there was still one piece missing. One morning, Daniel woke up sluggish, his thoughts foggy. He went through his mental routine, but something felt off. Mark laughed when Daniel told him, "Your body fuels your mind. A sluggish body makes for a sluggish spirit. You've got to get the blood moving." Daniel had always thought physical energy was something that came and went on its own. But now he learned that energy creates energy. The more you moved, the more you had. He started simple, stretching toward the ceiling, then bending toward the floor. Some mornings he'd walk briskly around his small yard, swinging his arms, breathing deep. Within minutes, his head felt clearer. The shift within weeks, Daniel noticed a change. His mornings now had 4 pillars. 1. Owning the first hour. 2. Choosing one mission. 3. Training his mind with challenges. 4. Guarding his inner weather. 5. Moving with purpose. The result? He was no longer at the mercy of moods or circumstances. He was stronger, not just in body, but in the quiet, unshakable way that people trust. One Friday, a machine at work broke down, throwing the shop into chaos. Old Daniel would have panicked. New Daniel? He kept his voice calm, his focus sharp, and worked steadily until they found a fix. That night, as he sat at a tabletop in his workshop, he realized something. This morning training isn't just about mornings. It's about becoming the kind of man who can handle whatever comes. Looking ahead, Mark had hinted at the next lesson. It's not just what you do in the morning, it's what you avoid that makes the difference. In part 3, Daniel would face his biggest challenge yet, not doing more, but protecting his mind from the constant noise of the world. Napoleon Hill believed that success was the result of habits, not luck. Daniel was proving that true, one quiet, deliberate morning at a time. If you want, I can now create part 3 where Daniel applies Napoleon Hill's ideas about creating before consuming and protecting focus from outside noise. That's where the story really tightens into momentum. Would you like me to go there next? Part 3, Move with Purpose. Balance isn't just physical, it's a state of mind. Stand on one foot and hold it, not to prove agility, but to train focus. Lift something, maybe a heavy book, a chair, or even your own body as you push away from the floor. The real key isn't what you do, but how you do it. Move like you mean it. Breathe like you're drawing life into every corner of your body. Feel the muscles tense and release. Hear your heartbeat answering the call of movement. I once stayed with a sailor who began each day before sunrise, carrying buckets of water from the well to the shore. It was simple, repetitive work, yet it sharpened his mind and steadied his heart. That first purposeful motion set the tone for the day. Do the same. Start moving with intention before the world fully wakes, and watch how far that momentum carries you. Feed the spirit. Many think strength is just muscle and mind. But without a nourished spirit, life can feel hollow, no matter how capable or clever you are. Watch closely and you'll see it. Some people move through storms with calm certainty. Others, equally skilled, are restless and dissatisfied. The difference lies in the soul, the unseen part of us that hungers for meaning, connection, and peace. Neglect it, and it grows tangled with worry and doubt. Tend it, and it blooms with wisdom and quiet strength. Too many polish the outside while the inside withers. They train their bodies, fill their heads with information, and yet wonder why joy feels distant. A strong spirit anchors everything else. It keeps you steady in trials, guides you with principles deeper than convenience, and gives fulfillment beyond mere achievement. Feeding your spirit doesn't require elaborate rituals. Begin each morning with a simple practice that lifts your inner self, prayer, reflection, gratitude. Tune your heart the way a musician tunes their instrument before a performance. That I knew a fisherman who did this without ceremony. Before setting sail, he'd pause at the shore, whisper thanks for the sea, the day, and the chance to work. Whether the water was calm or stormy, his heart stayed steady because it was anchored in something unshakable. Rekindle self-belief. Confidence isn't a fixed trait. It's a fire you must tend daily. Yesterday's courage won't automatically carry into today. The most confident people aren't free of doubt. They've simply learned to renew their belief in themselves. Think of it like baking bread, fresh every day or it goes stale. Without daily attention, confidence fades, and even capable people hesitate. Each morning, remind yourself of your worth and ability. You don't need permission from others, and you don't have to wait until you've achieved something big. Recall the victories, large and small, that prove your resilience. Remember the day you kept going when you wanted to quit, or when you chose honesty over convenience. True confidence is rooted in truth, not flattery. Tell yourself, I can learn what I need to learn. I have faced hard things before and found my way through. These are not empty affirmations. They are facts about your capacity for growth. I once met a mason who began each day by running his hands along walls he had built in the past. The stones were his proof. If he had done it before, he could do it again. His self-belief was the fuel that kept him lifting stones long after his muscles grew tired. Set your compass. Hard work alone won't get you where you want to go. Without direction, effort can take you farther from your real goals. Picture a ship with a hardworking crew but no captain checking the compass. They labor tirelessly, yet end up far from their intended port. Many live like this, busy but misaligned, mistaking activity for progress. Each morning, align your day with your deeper purposes. The kind of person you want to be, the relationships you want to nurture, the legacy you want to leave. This compass is not only about career, it's about character, values, and the life you want to build. Direction brings clarity. You can say no to distractions, choose between good and great opportunities, and invest your time where it matters most. A day without alignment can become a year lost to chance. A day with clear bearings moves you closer to what truly matters. A caravan leader once showed me how it's done. Before the camels moved, he studied the stars, the horizon, and the weather, plotting the route with care. Detours came, but the destination never changed because the compass was checked every morning. Embrace the small victories. Some believe only great achievements count. But the truth is, life's biggest triumphs are built on small, quiet wins that no one applauds. We see the ribbon-cutting ceremony, not the early mornings. We see the finished building, not the countless bricks placed one by one. Small victories matter because they are proof of progress, even when the finish line is far away. Finishing a single page, making one honest phone call, taking one healthy step, these are the moments that carry you forward. Celebrate them. They're not distractions from the real goal. They are the real goal in miniature. Each one says, I'm moving forward. I'm becoming who I want to be. When you string enough of them together, you'll look back one day and realize the big win was just a chain of small victories, lived one purposeful day at a time. This section now flows tightly, stays around the 1,000-word mark, and keeps the voice consistent with your earlier parts. Part 4. Guard your morning gates. Every morning, you stand at the gates of your own mind. The world is already knocking. Notifications, headlines, messages, demands. If you open the gates too soon, chaos spills in before you've had time to prepare yourself. Most people don't think about this. They wake, roll over, and scroll. By the time they've left the bed, their mood is already decided by something they didn't choose, a piece of bad news, a post that sparks envy, a stranger's opinion. But the morning is your most valuable territory. It is fresh, unspoiled, and full of potential. Guard it like a castle. Decide who and what gets in. Instead of letting the world rush in, let yourself arrive first. Breathe. Stretch. Reflect. Move. Then, when you're ready, you can open the gates and face the day on your terms. I once knew a teacher who began each day with her phone locked in a drawer. She'd light a small candle, write 3 sentences about what she hoped to give to her students that day, and only then would she check messages. Her students didn't know her ritual. but they felt its effects: calm, focused energy that spread through the whole classroom. Choose your first influence. The first voice you hear in the morning shapes your day. It can be a voice of encouragement or one of worry. It can be your own thoughts, someone else's words, or the silent pull of your habits. If the first thing you see is a complaint on social media, your brain begins in defense mode. If the first thing you hear is gratitude, spoken aloud or read from a book, your mind opens instead of closes. You get to choose your first influence. It could be a favorite passage from a book, a song that lifts your mood, a short prayer, or even a memory that inspires you. I once stayed in the home of an older craftsman. Every morning before touching his tools, he played the same short recording, his granddaughter laughing. He said it reminded him why he worked, not just to earn, but to create a life full of moments worth remembering. Your first influence should point you toward what matters most to you. Choose it deliberately, and let it set the tone before the rest of the world has a chance. Do the deep thing first. Most days are full of noise, tasks, conversations, interruptions. The deep, important work that could change your life often gets pushed aside until later. But later is slippery. It slides out of reach until the day is over and nothing truly meaningful has been done. That's why the morning is so powerful. It is your best chance to do the deep thing before the shallow things take over. The deep thing might be writing a chapter of your book, practicing your craft, working on your business idea, or learning a skill you've been meaning to master. Even 30 minutes of undisturbed focus before the world wakes can make more progress than hours of distracted effort later in the day. I knew a young father who wanted to finish his degree but could only study before work. He'd rise at 4:45 a.m., pour a cup of coffee, and read while the house was silent. It wasn't easy, but it was sacred time. Years later, degree in hand, he credited those early mornings with changing the course of his life. Do the deep thing first. The rest of the day will still demand your attention, but you'll have already planted a seed that moves your future forward. Set one true target. It's tempting to start the day with a long list of tasks, but long lists are dangerous. They give you the illusion of productivity while scattering your focus across too many points. You end up halfway through 10 things instead of finishing one thing well. Instead, set one true target for the day. Ask yourself, if I accomplish only this, will today still feel like a win? That target becomes your priority. Everything else can fit around it. A farmer I met in the countryside taught me this without meaning to. Each morning, he looked at his fields and chose the one plot that needed the most attention. He would work on other things later, but that plot came first, no matter what. His harvest was always steady, because he never neglected the most important work. One true target creates clarity. When you hit it, you feel momentum. And momentum is worth far more than the false comfort of a crossed-off to-do list filled with unimportant tasks. Build before you consume. The modern world pushes consumption. Videos, news, social feeds, entertainment. It's easy to begin the day by taking in, but creation is what makes life meaningful. If you can, create something before you consume anything. Write a paragraph, sketch an idea, practice a skill, cook a meal. Even a short burst of creativity can shift your mindset from passive to active. When you create first, you tell yourself, I am not just a receiver of life. I am a builder of it. I once visited a painter who lived in a tiny apartment. Every morning before breakfast, he painted a single stroke on a canvas. Sometimes it was all he had time for. But over the years, those strokes became dozens of finished paintings. I start the day with my own color, he told me. After that, I can take in the colors of the world without losing my own. Building before consuming gives your day a foundation that consumption cannot replace. End the morning with strength. Many people begin strong but fade quickly as the day unfolds. The secret is not just starting well, but ending your morning in a way that launches you into the afternoon with energy. This doesn't require hours. It might be as simple as a brisk walk, a burst of exercise, or a healthy breakfast eaten without rushing. It might be reviewing your progress and smiling at the fact that you've already made the day worthwhile before noon. Think of it like finishing the first chapter of a book. You want to turn the page, eager to keep going. I knew a nurse who worked long shifts. She always took the last 5 minutes of her morning to stand in the sunlight outside her apartment. She called it charging her battery. She said it reminded her that even if the rest of the day was hard, she had already given herself something good. The morning is your life in miniature in the end. The way you spend your morning is a reflection of how you spend your life. Rushed mornings often lead to rushed living. Purposeful mornings lead to purposeful days, which stack into purposeful years. The small choices, what you allow in, what you create first, what you aim for, add up. They shape your habits, your focus, your spirit. Guard your mornings. Fill them with things that matter. And remember, every sunrise is not just a new day. It's a new chance to live in alignment with the person you want to become. If you'd like, I can now prepare part 5 so it carries the same tone and lessons, keeping your series flowing smoothly toward its final message. Part 5. Your energy is your responsibility. Each morning, you wake up with a certain amount of energy, physical, mental, emotional. How you use it, protect it, and renew it is up to you. Too many people let others decide their energy. They allow a sharp comment, a traffic jam, or a headline to drain them before the day has truly begun. But here's the truth. Your energy is too valuable to give away for free. Imagine you are carrying a small cup of water through a crowded street. Every bump, every push, every distraction can spill a little out. By the end, your cup is nearly empty. That's how most people live with their energy, spilling it at every small disturbance. But if you guard it, move with intention, and keep your focus, you arrive at the end of the street with enough water to drink, to share, and to keep going. Your energy is your responsibility. Nobody else will protect it for you. Start with stillness. We live in a world that celebrates speed. But a fast start is not always a strong one. Sometimes the most powerful way to begin your day is in complete stillness. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means creating space for your mind to clear before you act. It might be sitting quietly with your eyes closed for 5 minutes. It might be breathing deeply while the sun rises. It might be praying or meditating. A friend of mine who runs a busy bakery wakes up an hour before anyone else in her household. She makes tea and sits in the same chair by the window, watching the quiet street. She told me, "If I can hear the birds before I hear my phone, I know it's going to be a good day." Stillness is not a luxury, it's fuel. It gives your mind a moment to organize itself before the demands arrive. Move before the world moves you. Movement is a form of waking up your body, but it's also a declaration. I choose to start my day on my own terms. It doesn't have to be an intense workout. A short walk, a stretch routine, a few minutes of dancing to your favorite song, it all counts. Movement sends a message to your brain. We're alive. We're ready. I once met an elderly man in the park who walked a slow, steady loop every morning. I asked why he came out so early. He said, "If I move first, I feel like I'm leading my day. If I wait, the day leads me." When you move before the world moves you, you create momentum. And momentum is one of the strongest allies you can have. Eat to create, not just to survive. Food is not just fuel, it's information. Every bite you take sends a message to your body about how to perform. Heavy, processed foods in the morning can make you sluggish. Fresh, nourishing foods can sharpen your focus and lift your energy. If you eat in a way that supports your goals, your body will work with you instead of against you. Think of it this way: an artist would never start painting with broken brushes and dried paint. So why start your day with tools, your body and mind, that aren't ready to create? A writer I know starts her mornings with a simple meal: eggs, vegetables, and water. She calls it writing fuel. She says, "If my brain feels slow, the words feel slow." Eat in a way that gives you the best chance to do your best work. Say no early. The earlier in the day you learn to say no, the more energy you'll save. Many people agree to things in the morning that drain them by afternoon: extra tasks, unnecessary meetings, favors that can wait. The problem is, every yes you give away in the morning takes energy away from the things that matter most to you. I once heard a business owner say, "If I'm not careful, my morning belongs to other people's priorities instead of my own." His solution? Before 11 a.m., he works only on his most important tasks. Calls, emails, and favors can wait. Saying no early isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's a way of protecting the space where your energy is highest. Carry a pocket of calm. The truth is, No matter how well you start your morning, the day will try to shake you. That's why you need something you can carry with you. A mental anchor to return to when stress appears. It could be a simple breathing pattern you use in traffic. A phrase you repeat when someone frustrates you. A song you listen to for 2 minutes in your headphones. A nurse I know keeps a small stone in her pocket. Whenever the hospital chaos becomes too much, she holds it in her hand for a moment, feeling its smooth edges. It reminds me to be steady, she says. Carry your calm with you, and you'll be able to face storms without losing yourself. End the morning with gratitude before your morning ends. Pause to name one thing you're grateful for. It could be something small, a cup of coffee, a quiet moment, the sunlight coming through the window. Gratitude is like a lens. It sharpens your view of what's good, even in the middle of what's hard. It doesn't erase challenges, but it reminds you they're not the whole story. A teacher I knew used to write one thing she was thankful for on a sticky note every morning and put it on her desk. By the end of the year, her desk was covered in them. It's proof that there's always something good, she told me. Gratitude at the end of your morning closes the chapter with peace, no matter how the rest of the day unfolds. The choice is yours. Mornings are not just about routines, they're about ownership. You can drift into your day reacting to everything around you, or you can claim it before it claims you. Stillness, movement, nourishment, boundaries, calm, gratitude, these are tools. Use them, and your mornings will stop feeling like a race you never asked to join. Instead, they'll become a launch pad. Every day begins with a choice. Let the day happen to you, or happen to your day. The choice is yours, and it begins before you even step out the door. If you want, I can send part 6, the final chapter next, with a strong emotional wrap-up and your series call to action, so it leaves your audience inspired to subscribe, share, and comment. Part 6. Winning tomorrow starts tonight. Most people think a great morning begins when the alarm rings. The truth is, it begins the night before. Your evening shapes your energy, your focus, and even your mood for the next day. If you stay up scrolling on your phone until your eyes burn, you're giving tomorrow's energy away before it even arrives. If you fill your mind with noise before bed, don't be surprised if your morning feels cloudy. A good evening is a gift you give your future self. Imagine leaving a small package on the table for tomorrow. You open it in the morning, and it's filled with rest, clarity, and readiness. That's what a mindful evening routine does. Close the day with intention before you end your day. Pause to ask, what's one thing I want to carry into tomorrow? It could be a thought, a goal, or a feeling. This 1-minute reflection tells your brain, we're not drifting, we're directing. A friend of mine writes a single sentence in a notebook before bed. Tomorrow I will. Sometimes it's about work, sometimes about family, sometimes just about enjoying the morning light. She says it makes her wake up with purpose instead of pressure. When you end the day with intention, you don't just fall asleep, you hand tomorrow a map. Let go of the day. You cannot step into tomorrow if you are still carrying today's weight. The argument you had, the mistake you made, the thing you didn't finish. They will follow you into the next morning unless you put them down. Some people journal to release the day. Others pray. Some take a slow walk outside, letting the air wash the noise out of their head. The method doesn't matter. What matters is telling yourself, this day is over. I am free to begin again. A pilot once told me. Every landing is a reset. No matter what the last flight was like, the next one is brand new. Life is the same. End your day with a safe landing, so you can take off strong in the morning. Create a night of peace. Your surroundings affect your rest. A chaotic space leads to a chaotic mind. Dim the lights. Lower the noise. Make your room a place your body recognizes as safe and calm. Keep your phone away from your pillow, not just because of the light, but because of the constant invitation to distract yourself. I knew a man who used to fall asleep with the TV on, news blaring, voices shouting. He switched to reading a single page of a calming book each night. It's like my mind finally learned how to whisper, he said. Even 10 minutes of peace before bed can be enough to change how you wake up. Sleep as a form of strength. In our culture, sleep is often treated like an optional luxury. People brag about surviving on 4 hours as if exhaustion is a medal of honor. But sleep is not weakness, it's training. While you rest, your brain organizes memories, your muscles repair, and your mood resets. Without it, you're asking your body to run a marathon on an empty tank. Athletes know this. Entrepreneurs who last more than a few years know this. Anyone who truly wants to win the morning knows this. Think of sleep as part of your morning routine. It just happens to be the first step, not the last. Wake up like it's on purpose. The alarm rings. The choice arrives. You can slap snooze, roll over, and drift back into unconscious living. Or you can open your eyes, breathe in, and remember, I have been given another day. I choose how it begins. Your morning doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need a 10-step ritual or a perfectly balanced breakfast every single time. But you do need to start with ownership. Some days you will leap out of bed. Other days you will crawl. Both are fine, as long as you move forward with awareness. Carry the morning into the day. A strong morning is not about creating 2 good hours. It's about creating a tone for the next 16. If you start with stillness, carry a piece of it into your afternoon. If you start with movement, keep the momentum in your work. If you start with gratitude, protect it when challenges come. A morning routine is not a shield that keeps trouble away. It's a compass that keeps you steady when trouble arrives. Your morning is your message. The way you start your day tells the world, and yourself, what you believe about life. If you wake up reacting, rushing, and resenting, you're saying, life controls me. If you wake up with clarity, care, and choice, you're saying, I control my life. Your morning is a daily statement of identity. Make it a strong one. The series in one breath. Over these chapters, you've learned, mornings are the launchpad of your life. You can choose your energy before the world chooses it for you. Movement, nourishment, stillness, and gratitude are powerful tools. Saying no early protects your best energy. Tomorrow begins tonight. If you remember nothing else, remember this: you are the author of your mornings, and in writing them well, you rewrite your life. Your turn. You now have the tools. The rest is action. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just choose one thing. Wake up 10 minutes earlier, drink water first, write 1 line of gratitude, and begin there. Momentum will do the rest. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Final thought: every sunrise is an invitation. Will you live today on purpose? Say yes. Loudspeaker call to action. If this series inspired you to take charge of your mornings, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it. White heavy checkmark. Subscribe for more stories that push you toward your best self. White heavy checkmark. Share this with a friend who wants to start fresh. White heavy checkmark. Comment below. What's the first change you're making tomorrow morning?